Hoo. It's Davis Wilson and the Missourian crew as we get ready to break down this matchup between Mizzou and OU. Welcome inside the Tiger Kickoff Show. Jacob Siciliano, again, our wonderful Missourian staff, and Adam Busak, Davis Wilson, Amelia Hurley. No Dr. Seuss today, but we're talking all about the Missouri Tigers and a matchup that is a revitalization of a long-lasting rivalry. It dates back to 1902, the first matchup between the Tigers and the Sooners, and it's right back here in 2024. Old history, old rivalries, it's a fun thing. Are you excited for this, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about 96 going on 97 games that these two teams have played against each other. And yes, certainly it hasn't been the best series for Missouri, right? They only win about one every 4 games over the course of the last 100 years or so. But that level of history between two teams is one of the things that makes college football beautiful in my mind. And I'm very excited that Missouri is going to get the opportunity to start playing Oklahoma again.
I think in recent memory, the one game that Mizzou fans think of when they think Oklahoma, they think Mizzou, is that homecoming game in October of 2010 when the Missouri Tigers took down #1 Oklahoma. And here the Tigers are. And 2010 was a very exciting year for the Missouri Tigers, but here we are in 2024 with Missouri kind of on a downhill slide a little bit. They lose to Alabama. They take the week on bye. Brady Cook questionable for this week. Where are your hopes here for this rivalry matchup? Because it's been a disappointing year for Oklahoma as well. They started the year ranked. They're no longer in the AP top 25. Neither are the Tigers at 26. But where's your levels of excitement for this one, Davis?
Oh, I'm excited, and I do my best to put my band biases aside, and I personally just don't like the Sooners. So I'm going to put them aside on Saturday and do my job, but I am really excited to see this matchup between Missouri and Oklahoma. And like you said, neither of these teams have been as good as they hoped, so I think that's another element to this, and yeah, it's going to be fun.
Texas handily taking care of Oklahoma didn't do enough for you, Davis?
I never get tired of seeing the Sooners fall.
No Boomer Sooner. Amelia, you excited about this one? Again, like this is history that was thought to be past history that's coming back to life here with all the conference realignment we've seen and, Oklahoma coming to the SEC in their first year.
Yeah, like you said earlier, were a lot of high preseason expectations for both Oklahoma and Missouri, and both of them are kind of falling short of those right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Both of them really need this win. They really need to have a good game. So it's going to be a really intense game, in my opinion, and I'm excited to see it. It's going to be some good football.
So right when we dive into this, there's one giant elephant in the room, no reference to the Crimson Tide, and how they dismantled Missouri and shut them out. But the reason for that shutout, Cook not behind center as the quarterback. He was able to start the game, and then Drew Pine comes in. This has been the question for the last 2 weeks, or the 2 games, 3 weeks now with the bye included. Is Brady Cook going to be able to play? He's listed as questionable. I think we've seen so far what this Tigers offense looks like when Cook is unable to play. But in your own words, Adam, how drastic is Brady Cook's positional availability to this Missouri Tigers team?
I mean, really, you look at it, Brady Cook is the lifeblood of this offense, right? He's the engine that gets the entire car moving. And I think we've seen 2 games now of evidence of Drew Pine when he's under center just can't quite move the football. He has played the majority of the game last week. He played about half the game against Auburn. And in both occasions, Missouri was unable to muster even a single point with Drew Pine under center. I just don't have any faith that they will move the ball if he's the quarterback. Now, Brady Cook, you have to take a step back and look at, yes, yesterday's initial SEC injury report, he was listed as questionable. But 2 weeks ago, in the initial injury report, he was listed as doubtful. Now, he still managed to play. In fact, he started. I think him being listed as questionable is a very good sign for Missouri. I think just knowing what we know about Brady Cook, I expect to see him on Saturday.
And just going back to that last point, what we know about Brady Cook, he's said it 1,000 times. He said it after the Auburn victory when he was in the hospital that he knows he only has a set amount of Missouri games left to play. Playing for the Tigers has been his dream. If you follow Brady Cook's journey at all, you know how much Missouri means to Brady Cook. When it comes to you, Davis, you see that questionable tag. You know the history with Brady Cook. Are you expecting him to play in this one? And if he does play, do you expect him to finish the game? Because we saw him play up against Alabama, but he had to leave, which everyone really thought when he came out that it was that ankle again, but it actually turned out to be an upper body injury in the hand. And now he's dealing with both of these. Do you expect him to stay in the full game?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I would say I expect him to try to give it a go, just because we've seen him do that. We've seen him. He hates to not play. He hates to watch his team play without him. So I would be pretty surprised if he didn't at least give it a try, especially considering what Adam said. He's questionable, not doubtful, which I think is a big deal. So yeah, I think there's a good chance he at least gives it a go.
And Eli Drinkwitz, he mentioned in his weekly presser, the question was asked, is the backup quarterback going to be Drew Pine if Brady Cook is unable to go? He said yes. Is there a way that Missouri can handle OU if Pine is behind center and Cook is out for this game and cannot go, Amelia?
I just don't know the answer to that, Jacob. They're coming off of a bye week. You'd hope that Pine has gotten some more first-team reps in under his belt and be able to be more familiar with the offense. But from what we've seen from Pine's performance so far, we just have not seen much click at all. And if we didn't think that offense was really clicking with Brady Cook, it certainly isn't right now under Pine. So I do think that if Pine is in for the full game, it's going to be a much different outcome, a much different score than if Cook was under center.
Let's talk about the college football playoff right now, because that's really been the thing that has been the goal for Missouri coming into the season. Preseason, Drinkwitz said it bluntly, our goal is to win a national championship. This year, it's easier to get in that realm than ever before with the expanded playoff format of 12 teams. Tigers, they're listed in the college football playoff rankings. They're at 24, so they got to move up 12 spots to get in that top 12. Do you think that this is the right ranking for the Tigers at 24? And if the Tigers are able to handle Oklahoma here, do you think that helps them at all move up in this poll?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least in my opinion, every SEC win is a quality win. And I think in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee, that's always been the case. If you win games in the SEC, it doesn't matter the opponent. It doesn't necessarily matter the fashion in which you win those games. Those are difficult games, and wins are hard to come by, right? That's why Missouri, a team that maybe has been discounted by the AP poll, is still in the College Football Playoff. I wasn't surprised to see them there. Maybe surprised that they were as low as 24, to be honest with you. There is a steep uphill climb for Missouri to get back into that playoff picture, right? They have 12 teams that they have to hop to get from where they are now to where they want to be. I don't think that it's going to happen. But there is a path there, and that path consists of a lot of help. It will take a lot of help, but winning these next 4 games, that is what Missouri has to do, and I think they can do it.
Davis, when you look at this Oklahoma team, you look at their strengths, you look at their weaknesses. They're giving up a lot of sacks. This Mizzou D-line has been good this year. Do you think this is a point of the game defensively that the Missouri Tigers can exploit? They had over 200 rushing yards as an offense, or last week too, for Oklahoma as well. So Drinkwitz said their priority is to stop the rush game. But where do you see kind of this Mizzou defense fitting into this ballgame?
I think the Mizzou defense is going to determine whether or not Missouri can win this game. Oklahoma's offense has really struggled this year. Both quarterbacks that have played, Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins, have both struggled a lot as well. The receivers for Oklahoma have been out for most of the year, although 2 of their big receivers, Deion Burks and Jaleel Farouk, are both questionable instead of doubtful, so that is a good sign for that offense. But I really do think that it's going to be hard for Oklahoma to score. They just have not looked good. Their defense, on the other hand, is a really good unit, but the offense has struggled a lot. I think it's going to be on the defense to really stifle that unit.
And Amelia, for the Missouri Tigers offense here, this has really been the question mark. Can they respond against an Alabama game that they did not score a single point? The Tigers were shut out by the Crimson Tide. They come back here to Faurot Field. What needs to happen for this Tigers offense to click? Because I don't really know if we've seen that Tigers offense click since 2023.
I fully agree with you there. I don't think that we've seen near what the potential for this offense could be. Really, it comes down to you need to get Brady Cook healthy. I think Pine has a lot of potential. I think when he was recruited, there was a lot of hope that he would be a solid backup, but we've just seen from this performance so far that he's not at that level yet. We really need Cook to be healthy, be able to play for as long as he can. You need the offense to really rally around Pine if he ends up being in that spot. And that connection, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot deeper than just surface level. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make it work.
Yeah, and again, Eli Drinkwood saying that Drew Pine is the guy if Brady Cook is unable to go or has to leave the game. We've been talking about owls, and typically you're used to seeing a pot around this time of the show. But because it's an owl, we're going to ask the question instead, who's cooking? All right, welcome into Who's Cooking, the only segment in Missouri history where we pass around, this time an owl, and talk about what player is going to boom here in the Missouri Tigers matchup against the Oklahoma Sooners. We'll start with Adam Busak. Wait, where'd the owl go?
Jacob, I think he's nesting up behind you right there.
Oh, no.
He flew away from me. All right, well, we got him back. We got our OU owl. We should call him Boomer. We'll throw him over to Adam here, and he'll give us his boom player against the Sooners.
This is a good-looking owl. It's one of the better ones I've ever seen. Jacob, I think that Davis made a very good point earlier when he said that this offensive unit for Oklahoma is not good, right? They're going to get a couple of their wide receivers back. I don't know how much of a factor it's going to be because wide receivers are only as good as the quarterback that can get the football to them in the first place. I think the key for Missouri in this game is going to be the defensive line. I think specifically Johnny Walker Jr. is a player to watch for me. We saw 2 sacks from him in the first quarter of the last game at Alabama. I think he's going to continue that success into this game. As far as what's cooking, the Sooners, of course, not an animal mascot. It's a mascot with the Sooner schooner, right? It's a big chuck wagon that goes across the prairie. And what do you have along with chuck wagons? There's a lot of campfires. Sitting around a campfire, I'm roasting hot dogs. That's my dish for today.
Okay.
All right, I like that.
Bit of a journey to get there.
Yeah, no, we got it. You got it.
Mine, all of what Adam said is very similar to what I'm about to say. I'm staying on the defensive line for that reason. Oklahoma's offensive line has struggled. The whole offensive unit has struggled because of the offensive line. I was thinking Johnny Walker Jr., but I'm going to go to the other side, Zion Young, who's also been pretty good on that defensive line for Missouri. He's been disruptive. He's gotten into the backfield and caused some sacks and some tackles for loss, so that's what I'm going with. As far as what's cooking, I'm also going to stay around the campfire. And I just want to say I'm sorry for the take I'm about to have. People hate me for this.
Oh, no.
I understand, but so this matchup between Missouri and Oklahoma was supposed to be really a good one. Both these teams had playoff ambitions, and now we're looking at it, and it's not so good. It's not as good as we thought. And for me, when I roast s'mores, when I make s'mores, the idea of s'mores are always way better than when I eat them. And so I'm going to go with the s'mores. I apologize. I'm very sorry. But that's what I'm going to be cooking.
I would say good s'mores live up to the expectations. But if you're
look,
making bad s'mores, I'm with you on that. You just have to wait for that chocolate to melt a little bit,
I get it. I get what s'mores are. I get it. I'm sorry. I've warned everyone. I'm sorry.
You should be sorry, Davis.
Okay. I'll take the L on this one.
Amelia?
Well, I don't know how to bounce back from that take. Anyways, no, so everything that Adam and Davis both said, I think the defense is going to be the main side of the ball for this game to watch, especially if Pine's under offense. We're going to need a lot of takeaways to happen on this defense. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pick six, but you got to get some interceptions, get into good field position to give the offense as much of an advantage as you can. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Marvin Burks Jr. I think he's had a really good season so far. I'm writing a story on him right now, and I've just seen that his stats are great. We just need somebody that's going to be energetic and to drive that through the game, so I'm going to pick him. As far as my dish, I think that, like we said, the defense is going to be the main star of this game. So they're going to be tired. They're going to be exhausted. They're going to be fried. I'm going to do chicken fried steak. this one.
Great pick. Great pick.
That is a good pick. I like our style of food here too. We're going very country out
Sure,
there.
yeah.
It's good for the Sooners. I'm sticking with the defensive line as well. I've got McClellan. He's just a guy that is disruptive from a defensive line standpoint. I do want to say though, because we did not talk about a ton of the offense and players to break out, and obviously it's tough to predict because if you have a guy like Drew Pine under center, it's going to differ than having Brady Cook under center. But I will say, at some point in time, Luther Burden will get involved and have a Luther Burden game this year. I'm saying it now. We heard it from John Anderson when he was here. He told Coach Drinkwitz he's got 3 plays, and it's get the ball at number 3, right? At some point it's going to happen, and Luther Burden is going to do Luther Burden things. And we've seen Luther Burden do Luther Burden things, but it hasn't been on the stage that we've seen it in 2023, in 2022. And we're going to see it here at some point. This could be the game for it. So I just want to throw someone's eyes out there. My dish, the Sooners, they got the Schooner, right? Schooner, Oregon Trail. You guys ever play the Oregon Trail game when you were younger?
Sure.
Right?
Sure,
You got dysentery, you died. One of the things that you couldn't get dysentery from was beef jerky. If it was done right, if you make beef jerky right, you will not get sick. It'll last forever. It's a good preservative. Throw a lot of salt on there. It's all solid. I love beef jerky, and I'm rolling with beef jerky for my pick because you won't get dysentery from it. Well, that's who's cooking. Now, it's time for some jingling and some keys to the game as we break down what needs to happen for the Tigers to take home a win here against the Sooners. We'll start with the big brain over there on Adam Busak, and his thoughts is what the Tigers need to do.
Jacob, my keys for the game here is going to come up in the event that Brady Cook is unable to play, whether that is throughout the entire game or even just a portion of the game. Missouri struggles to move the football without Brady Cook, so they're going to need some very good field position. All right, the turnovers are going to be key for me, and that's what I'm going with this week.
Yeah, my keys to the game, it's going to sound dumb and obvious, but scoring points would be a good idea for Missouri. They were held scoreless against Alabama, thus losing the ball game. I think if they can figure out a way to score even a couple points, you don't have to score a ton. I think if you score a couple points, it gives you a better chance. That's my take.
And Amelia?
I do think scoring points will give you a better chance at winning. I agree. I would also say winning the turnover battle on both sides. The defense is going to need to get as many picks as they can, and then Pine, in the event that he does play, is going to need to try to not throw some. He threw 3 consecutive interceptions on 3 straight drives against Alabama, and you can't have that at home at Furrow Field. So that's going to be my key to the game.
And when you really think about when this Tigers team had success, it was when the defense was turning plays into turnovers. We saw several players throughout the secondary get interceptions. So for me as well, forcing turnovers is a huge point. They're turnovers for a reason. They're also a turning point in the game. And then to Davis's point with scoring, you have to turn turnovers into points. That's how you win football games. Those are my 2 main keys. Now let's move over here to score predictions. Obviously, this is a game that is difficult to predict in a sense because you necessarily don't know who's under center for the Tigers. This is the same sentiment against Alabama. Adam, what is your score prediction here? Everyone's tied so far at 1 loss apiece after the Tigers fell against the Crimson Tide.
Jacob, I'm rolling with the Tigers on this one. I think Brady Cook's going to play for the reasons that I've established a little bit earlier in the show. I don't expect it to be a shootout. I don't expect it to be a high-scoring affair because both of these teams are defense first. It's as simple as that. I don't exactly have it in Big Ten territory as far as a low-scoring game goes, but I have Missouri by the score of 20-13.
Yep, similar for me. I have 24-17 Missouri. To me, it would just be really surprising if Oklahoma was able to score in bunches. I just don't think their offense is good enough for that. If they got even over the 20-point mark, I think in some ways that would be a surprise just because they haven't been able to move the ball. There's huge question marks at the quarterback position and all across the offensive line. So I'm taking Missouri 24-17.
And Amelia?
It's difficult to predict a game like this when you don't know who's starting as quarterback.
Exactly.
It could be completely different scores for completely different games. So I'm just trying to avoid a humiliation as I had from last week where the score was obviously at Alabama. I don't think any of us were close to that final score. So that's why I put the Tigers winning, but just by 26-24. I just think it's going to be a close game, and I'd rather be safe than sorry in my picks.
Funny enough, Amelia, I actually have the same score prediction as you, but the opposite team. We got to keep it fresh here on the Tiger Kickoff Show. You know, a little competition. Can't have everyone having the same picks. For me, the reason I'm taking Oklahoma here is just that level of uncertainty. Will Brady Cook start? Potentially, and probably, as we've seen from precedent, he was doubtful going into Alabama, yet still found a way to play. And then here, he's questionable going into Oklahoma. You can kind of put two and two together. There's a good chance Brady Cook takes the field. But the question is, will Brady Cook actually play the entirety of the game? We've seen Drew Pine play when he came in against Alabama. And again, Alabama's a great football team. 9 pass attempts, 3 interceptions. So it's been a rough start for Pine so far, and if he sees this game, that could be a deciding factor in a game that's already scripted to be close. Again, the spread for this game is only just 3 points. That's now in Missouri's favor. So let's see if we can take a full look here at our score predictions. Again, myself, the only red OU on there, 34-18. It should be 26-24. Adam Busak's got 20-13. Amelia 26-24. Davis Wilson 24-17. Well, those are your score predictions. Right there is Mizzou and Oklahoma. It's a night game, folks. It should be a fun one as well, as we'll have to see how the land lays out on Saturday night. We thank you again for spending your pregame with us here at the Tiger Kickoff Show. Hope you had some fun, learned some info from Adam, Davis, and Amelia, and we will catch you on Monday when we break down this whole matchup for the Tigers and what could be the backbreaker for the Tigers college football playoff hopes. Thank you one more time for tuning in. Again, our wonderful hosts, Adam Busak, Davis Wilson, Amelia Hurley, Jacob Siciliano, wishing you a good Thursday night. Woohoo!